So call recording is now on. If you send me I'm working off of 2 screens. So if you send me a little chat, I may not always see it right away because it'll be on my other screen. I'll do my best to be both monitor and presenter. It's for a few people, it's easy to be both. You start getting into the 20-something, then it gets a little more challenging. So, but we'll get through this. So, let's get going. Today's call is objections, and these are the Mike Ferry script book. For those of you that don't have it, it's on. Let's see. I'm not sure if it's on Aubrey & Associates. I know it's on I know it's on our back office. So I'll put it on. I'll make sure it's on Aubrey & Associates in case somebody needs it. It's free. I mean, you can go to MikeFerry.com and download it. It's a free book to get anywhere. It's the same book that I've been using. The first time I was introduced to this set of scripts was, I always remember the date, April 15th. That's an easy day to remember. It's tax day. And I always remember my daughter was not even a year old. So it was April 15th, 1998, as I went to my first productivity school. So it's my first real experience to scripts and Mike Ferry's type of scripts. And I'm not saying you got to be an end-all, be-all. Mike Ferry's the end-all, be-all. However, I believe scripts and dialogues are your number one tool. Real estate is a conversation, right? So, I mean, that's, if you think about it, we don't build things. So real estate is simply a conversation you have with people, right? When do you plan on moving? Things like that. And then sales is a series of questions that leads people to a decision. And then last but not least, an objection is simply an unanswered question in the mind of a prospect, right? So an objection is simply an unanswered question in the mind of a prospect, right? So it's actually good. If you're on a listing appointment and you're actually getting objections, that's actually good, because if they don't want you, they're going to show you the door. So welcome objections, right? Welcome objections. So that's how I feel about that. So I have the scripts here. I'm gonna show the script, each one. So each one, these are just JPEGs of the different scripts that come right out of the script book. If you don't have one, please email me afterwards. I'll make sure you get one, so you can have it. But like I said, they're free on the Mike Ferry website. I mean, I imagine if you Googled Mike Ferry script book, I'm sure they're everywhere. So anyway, let's look at let's look at objection number 1. Remember, these are listing appointment objections. Some of those may not be as relevant in today's market condition. So I hear people talking. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone, because if you're having separate conversations, it doesn't work for me. So let's mute if you need to speak, go ahead and unmute yourself. So let's look at the first script, and like I said, not always are relevant in today's market. And I could see not wanting to give out a 6-month listing, right, in today's market. This is the one out of the script book. Not really my favorite answer. I'm sorry, I won't do that. 6 months are our company policy. If someone tells me they have a company policy, as an individual, I'm like, yeah, well, my company policy is not to do it either. So what are we going to do about that? So, I mean, you could try this one and just say, hey, I'm sorry, our policies we do 6 months. And if they don't go for it, then the one I like to use is, hey, you know what? Here's the thing. If it's not sold, say in 60 or 90 days, the reality is it's going to be the price. And at that point, we're going to have a conversation. And if we can't come to a meeting of the minds on where we should be on the price, I'll just give it a listing back. And, is that fair enough? And they say, yeah, well, in other words, because think about what their issue is. They just don't want to be stuck for 6 months where, to something that's not selling, right? So, and we all know, and today, if you're not getting offers in 2-3 days, you're overpriced. So, but that's the thing is, you can just simply say, you can use that. You can use this company policy one, and you should always have at least two objection handlings for each one. 3 would be better, right? In other words, there's only really 10 objections, and if you can handle each objection 2 or 3 times, then you can outlast them. Just visualize this as a 10-round heavyweight fight, and that the consumer is not conditioned to go the long distance. So we can go that. So you got I'm sorry, or 6 months is our company policy. Or you can say, hey, you know what? If it's not sold in 30 or 60, 90 days, then you know what? The truth is it's going to be the price. And if we can't come to an agreement on the price, I'll just give it a listing back. How does that sound? And they go, great. Then you go, okay, then all we need to do now is simply sign the contract so I can get you what you want in the time you want. Won't that be great? And the key is, remember, when you say, so I can get you what you want in the time you want, make sure you know what that is, right? Make sure you know what they want, right? So in other words, if you're on a listing appointment, you should know what they already want because you've been pre-qualifying them and talking to them. So you should know where they're trying to move to. So let's say they're moving to Seattle for a job transfer, so you can, and they need to be there in 30 days, and that's why maybe they're a little hesitant about being locked up. So then you can say, all we need to do now is simply sign a contract so I can help you get to Seattle in the next 30 to 60 days. Won't that be great? Yeah, great. Sign the contract. Does that make sense? So you got to know what it is they want and when they want it. So that way, when you use that close, so I can help you get what you want, the time you want, well, that'd be great. So that you know exactly what it is, what their hot buttons are, because you always want to use their motivation to cause them to take action. Remember, motivated people take action. So you want to keep reminding them of their motivation. So let's look at objection number 2. We were thinking about X company, or we never heard of your company. The standard script is, I can understand your concern, and I think you realize that a company doesn't sell a home. It's the individual agent's activities. And then it goes right into, do you feel I can sell your home? Yes, terrific. All we need to do now is simply sign the contract so I can help you get what you want the time you want. Well, that'd be great. So, and that you can use that close. And then there's one I like to repeat, and actually I think there's another close I have, but they used it right there. Do you feel I can sell your home? So, and here's the thing: if they're at this point and they're telling you they're thinking about somebody else, or we never heard of your company, I'm going to bet dollars to donuts 99 times out of 100, if they're waffling right here, what they're waffling usually is the price. They're struggling with the price that you're coming up with. So I'll bet dollars to donuts that's what it is. And when we get to the I want to think about it objection, I'm going to go ahead and handle how I handle that. You would handle this one the same way, similar way, and I'll show you. They've already alluded to it. Do you feel I can sell your home? And when you do that, you want to make sure you see the P and the Y and the smile. So what that's saying is you're pointing to yourself and smiling, right? And I always like to have my palm open, my palm hitting my chest, my palm hitting my heart, smiling ever so, with a kind of a smile, and then an ever so slight head nod where your head's going yes, and say, do you feel I can sell your home? And they go, yeah, it's terrific. All we need, if they say yes, boom, then go ahead and ask for the close. And then, like I said, later on, we'll go through a deeper how to handle that. So that's look at number 3. We'll save the commission by selling it ourselves. And my gosh, in this market, they can actually sell it themselves. It's a little challenging. This one is a bigger challenge in today's market. I don't know that I would get involved in all of these details and things like that. So in my opinion, a lot of this, it's a little wordy, and you need to be prepared to back up the facts. So, and I don't know that these numbers are accurate in today's climate. I would bet that most FSBOs can sell. I mean, they just will. But, I'm not saying that all of them are. However, what do you call it? It's just a reality. People can actually sell their homes. So, I would go into the idea that I like the one more of the people, agents actually net the sellers more money simply because the people that are shopping for sale by owners are looking for what we call the deal. And so let me ask you a question, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are you looking for the highly motivated buyers that are willing to pay you top dollar? Or are you looking for more like kind of the investor types that are looking to pick up a deal, hoping to get somebody unrepresented? And they go, well, we're looking for top dollar. Well, great. Let's just do the right thing and simply sign the contract so I can help you get top dollar and get it done in the next 30 days. Won't that be great? So that's kind of the idea there that I like to use in today's. So somebody sent me a text. Let me see where it went. Let's see. Collateral Analytics did research and found that the seller doesn't save anything by selling by owner. And it's true. I mean, we know that. It's very hard to back up with statistics because there's no way of saying, there's actually no way of knowing that if we took your house and sold it for sale by owner, or because you would have to have the same house on the market at the same time with the same buyers looking at it to prove it to be a stat. So it's a very challenging, excuse me, it's a very hard fact to prove. However, we just intuitively know that they don't. And again, so, and it's true. So where do investors love for sale by owners. Investors love MLS entry only, these brokers that take the small fee and enter into the MLS where they can get access to the sellers. The investors love those. We're not going to talk about and disparage any particular company or any particular models or anything like that. It's just a reality. The investors like those because once an agent has listed a property and the investors kind of know that they're out, that the seller has access to good market data that can net them more money. So this one here is a little bit of a challenge in today's market. You can try this script here. It's a little wordy. I like using the. So let me ask you: do you want to attract the highly motivated buyers, or do you want to attract the ones that are just looking for a deal? And they go, well, we want the motivated buyers, right? That's exactly. So and that's the one I like. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. Let's list high. We can always come down later. And that's a very, very, very common mindset. We have to leave room for negotiation, right? So, and I understand you want to list high to leave room for negotiation. Have you considered a problem that creates for you? And I'm going to kind of read these verbatim, but I want you to hear it too as I read them, because even though I'm reading them, I've internalized these at some level. It's been quite some time, so as I read them, I'm kind of using my old internalization as well. So, but most people won't even bother looking at properties that are priced too high. So let me ask you, would you rather have a bidding war on your home or not have an opportunity to negotiate any offers at all? Right? And they, and they go, well, we'd rather have a bidding war, right? And it's the truth. Now, in today's world, it's really, again, a little challenging. You can run comps all day long and list a property for 5% above comps and get multiple offers. Little challenging. So this one there. So if your comp suggests 350 and they want to go, 365, I wouldn't die on that hill. I would certainly, take the listing for sure, especially if they're highly motivated, because you'll get activity. And then sometimes you let the appraisers sort it out. So, I mean, if they're ridiculous, it's worth 350, everything indicates 350, and they want 450, well, then, you got to wonder how motivated are they really, especially if you've done your CMA presentation properly. So, so anyway, so you always have that, we can, and again, if you're close, take the listing, don't die on the hill, right? So, and again, they could be struggling with your price that you've showed them. Remember, we don't walk in with a CMA and tell them the price. We walk in with the comparable data and make them do the CMA. So when that happens, typically you'll be a little closer. But they do want to leave room for negotiation and say, look, we don't have to take any offer. We don't have to take any offer that comes in. Right now, if somebody came in low, we could just say no. So anyway, so that's kind of how you deal with that one. Let's look at number 5. We want to think it over. And this is the one where I said I'll handle that other objection a little deeper. I'm not a bit, well, and if they say they want to sleep on it, you're always going to get, so if you get number 5, we want to think it over, right? This one here is a little corny, but it can ice break it. Hey, that's great. And since there's 3 minds are better than 2, let's think out loud together. Tell me, what are you thinking about? So, and then let's pause on that part, and then we'll look at the 5A. Now, now my opinion is if they want to think it over, 9 times out of 10, you're missing something. It's not about them thinking over. There is a lingering objection out there that you have not addressed. That is my opinion. Now, there is the person that will want to sleep on it, but I'm telling you 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, that there's a lingering objection, absolutely a lingering objection. So if you discover it is that 1 out of 99 or whatever that really wants to sleep on it, you can do you're right, this is a big decision. We can go ahead and sign a contract tonight, contingent upon your approval within 24 hours. That way we both win. Can I tell you how? You have 24 hours with no pressure, so you can feel comfortable and sleep on it tonight. Then I'll call you in the morning and you simply tell me yes or no. And if you say no, I'll rip up the contract and you have no obligation. If you say yes, I'll begin marketing your property immediately. So either way, all we need to do now is simply sign the contract. And you hear me doing the embedded commands, right? We talked about those embedded commands at different times where you pause, change your cadence, and then and you put an emphasis on the embedded command. The embedded command is an action that we want them to take, right? Say yes, sign the contract, right? And the other one, feel comfortable. That one there, they don't have double on the line. But now let's really drill into what I think is the real issue. So we want to think it over. That's great. So tell me, what are you thinking about? And I'm here to tell you it is, in most cases, it's the price, period, right? Remember, I told you, sellers have 2 questions. Number 1, how much money am I getting, right? All other questions are sub-questions of those 2. What do you charge, this and that, list high? Those are all sub-questions. But the reality is it boils down to how much money am I getting? The second question is, can you get it? Now, they already believe you can sell homes until you convince them otherwise. And how do you convince them otherwise? You show up on appointments and start talking yak. So you need to stay into a formal presentation and stick to the scripts. If you don't know them verbatim, at least know what the question is asking, and then ask the question. Try not to add words. You will screw it up when you add words. So let's talk about that. We want to think it over. So, and again, I'm here to tell you 99 times out of 100, it's the price. So here's the way I handle this. Okay? So you're right. So really, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's 3 decisions you need to make. And number 1 is the decision to sell your home. You've already made that decision, haven't you? And they go, yeah. So, because we already know they're moving, we wouldn't be on the appointment if they weren't moving. And how do we know that? Because we asked the pre-qualification scripts. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's 3 decisions you need to make. Number 1 is the decision to sell your home. You've already made that decision, haven't you? And they're saying yes. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the second decision we need to make, it's the price we set on your home. And remember, we talked about in previous classes that when you say it's the price we set on your home, that you always look down at the CMA and point to the papers, right? Because remember, we're not the price. Okay, we are not the price. the CMA, the comps, the paperwork is the price. So you always look at the price and say, and then look down at the price and point to it. So, and I'm going to tell you, and I go after this one twice, right? Because I believe that the real issue is the price. So I'm going to go after this one twice. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the second decision you need to make, it's the price we settle on your home. Do you have any questions about the price? And they'll go, well, no. And they'll kind of, and if they stall, they're going to stall a little bit. This is where you're going to, and they stall and they get the, well, you'll hear that come out a little bit. And then that's when I go after it again. So, and I look them dead in the eye. So let me ask you again. You are absolutely clear, based on the information we've seen today, that we should list your property at $350,000. Is that correct? And then I go, well, we were thinking, and that's where it comes out. You want to give them two opportunities on price, and then 9 times out of 10, you're going to go back. So and then you go back into the price objections that were in the listing presentation. So let me ask you. So, okay. So, and then what price do you have in mind? Well, you know, if they say 365, and in today's market, if the comps are showing 350, you know, I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to die on that hill. I'm going to take the listing at 365. So, because, I mean, the odds are great. We can get it sold anyway. So we're just going to take the list. So, but at first you can say, okay, so let me ask you this. So, if we list a home at 365, right, are you prepared to sign the contract? And if they say yes, then great, let's just sign the contract, get out of the way, right? That's because you're close. You're only within a couple points. However, you know, if they're saying, well, we were thinking 390, 400, well, let me ask you, then you have to go into the price objections from the listing presentation. So let me ask you, what specifically causes you to believe that your home is worth, you know, $40,000, $50,000 more than the other homes? Well, our house is special. Well, we know everybody, you know, they come up with their reasons. You know, we got a new roof. So really what you're saying is the roof doesn't leak anymore, right? And they go, well, yeah, the roof doesn't leak anymore. Well, great. So, you know, or what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? You know, we put in new carpet. Well, really, new carpet really doesn't add value. It makes it sellable. So in other words, you know, the other carpet was kind of old, right? Yeah. So really what you've done is brought up the selling standard. So you need to go back to the listing presentation, script, you know, pricing objection. But again, so let's reiterate the 3 questions. So, and I'll go through it again. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, so there's really 3 decisions you need to make tonight. Number 1 is your decision to sell this home. And you've already made that decision, haven't you? Number 2, it's the price we set on your home. And do you have any questions about the price? And they go, no, okay, great. So in other words, you are absolutely clear that the $350,000 is a good price that we should list your home at. And if they go, yes, okay, great. So the third decision is it's the agent you choose. Let me ask you, do you feel I can sell your home? And they go, well, yeah. Well, then let's just go ahead, sign the contract. That way I can help you get your home sold in the next 30, 60 days so you can get off to Seattle. Won't that be great? And they go, yeah. So a lot of times they get a little overwhelmed. You sit there for 20, 30 minutes going through a lot of comps, go through the listing contract, you know, talk about the seller disclosures. A lot of times they're overwhelmed with the amount of information and they really just need to step back. And so sometimes just summarizing the whole appointment to those 3 decisions can help you get past their overwhelming part of it. So does that make sense? So if that, you know, we'll move on to the next one. So next objection, I have a friend in the business. My gosh, who doesn't have a friend in real estate, right? The other day, I was driving down the road and I got pulled over by a cop and he asked to see my real estate license. You know, I mean, that's the, you know, the reality is everybody's got a real estate license. So, and if you're actually on a listing appointment and they're telling you they have a friend, you have to say, okay, so again, my opinion is they're stuck on the price. In other words, they don't like your price. That would be my opinion. So you can say, look, I can appreciate that. Almost everyone does. So let me ask you, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Or are you looking to do your friend a favor? And you want to kind of smile as you say it. And they go, well, you've had me out here for a reason, right? And they say, yeah. So do you feel I can sell your home? And then if they say, yeah, then go for the close. So if they're still struggling, if they're still giving you an objection, I promise you it's the price. Then I would go back into the three decisions. So because I promise you, or you can just look them in the eye and go, let me ask you a question. Are you satisfied with the price? And if they give you anything other than yes, then price was your issue. Price was your issue. I promise you. Price is always the issue. So I would go back into that. Another agent said they can get me more money, right? Well, in this market, sheesh, it's almost hard to, this one there is almost. This one here may be a little more. It depends on how high they went. Again, if it's a few grand, take the listing. So, and then you can go into this one. I can appreciate that. And what you probably don't understand is an agent that will list your property, and that's embedded command, right? List your house, right? Overpriced assumes they can take the listing now and beat you up. So you want to kind of learn that one. Not as relevant in today's market as some. Let's look at the next one. You haven't sold any homes in my area. You're going to hear those kind of questions. Who are you, right? So what do you call it? So when you sign the contract, so that's a valid concern. Obviously, you'll choose me now is that my company has homes for sale all over the community, and you could use that one, right? So look, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, our company, we have agents from Layton all the way down to Saratoga Springs. I mean, that's what you're looking for, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, you can use that kind of stuff. Don't just use the generic script. Know what it is that the script is really saying, and then bring the real facts into the play. So, and then when you sign that contract, we'll expose your property for sale, to agents all over. Plus, you can always go in and say, anyway, you get the point. So then the next one says, what do you do to sell homes? And that's another one. This one here, that's a valid concern. And these two are similar. And then, we have you always have the idea that if you have your pre-list packet with you and remind them, say, what do you do to sell homes? If you had the pre-list packet and sent it with them, this shouldn't come up. If it does, pull out the pre-list packet and remind them, say, look, so some of the things that we do for selling your home, number one is we list it on about 95 different websites. I mean, that's what you're looking for, isn't it? Yeah, great. Just sign the contract. I mean, if you can handle it, if you can just point back to the script book, the pre-list packet and just show them that paging and close, right? So in other words, oh yeah, that's right, boom. So then just close. The last one is we want to cut your commission. So, if they say, well, you could do it for any other price, say no. Say, oh no. Do you have any other questions? And if they say no, then tell them to sign the contract, right? So does that make sense? So don't go into a bunch of rigmarole if you can just simply say no. Do you have any other questions? Well, and then if they say, well, the other agent said he or she could, and here's what you're going to get. You're going to get this. In this market, the sellers are well aware that they can list. In this market, 6% is just a challenge, period. So find out how low they're trying to go, and then if they go too low, then you can kind of go into, I can appreciate that. Can I tell you why that makes me nervous? And they're like, why would it make you nervous? It's about them, So look, if an agent doesn't have the courage to stand up to you, and it's kind of like to stand up to you, like you're nothing, right? You kind of want to have that little bit of tone. So how strong could they possibly be defending you and the price we set on your home? So, I have that courage. Do you feel I can sell your home? And if the answer is yeah, terrific. So just sign the contract. But the truth is, if the other agent's 4.5 or 5%, then, if they're 4.5, go for 5, go for 5. I mean, that's it. If they're, but don't walk away. Don't lose the deal because if you're not going to get, people are listing them for less price and it's simply a condition of the market. It's all there is to it. It's a condition of the market. You're just simply not going to get every deal today at 6%, period. So Cynthia said she had a question. Send me a text. There's an instant message. So Cynthia, I'm going to unmute you right now. What is your, let's see, unmute. What's your question, Cynthia?
Perfect. So this weekend I had a homeowner call me, and he said, yeah, I'm having a friend just list it for me, and then I'm going to have my brother show it. He lives in St. George, and he has a house in Riverton. So he's spending minimal to his buddy to just throw it on the MLS. What do I do there?
Not much you can. I mean, you're not going to get them all. If they have a way, because it's a little challenging to convince someone to pay me, because they're going to pay 3%. Typically, they're paying 3% or 2.5% BAC, right? Yeah. So, and that's where it's at. So you got a couple things there. So, so let me ask you. So you're already willing to pay 3% buyer's agent commission, correct? And then they're willing to pay their buddy $1,000. So now, and it's $300,000 listing. So now the reality is we're $8,000 apart. So really we're about $8,000 apart. So let me ask you this question, Cynthia. If I can actually net you the same amount of money, or even maybe more, than you are with the program you're going on for, you'd want to hear about that, wouldn't you?
That's a great question. Okay, I'll write that down.
And that would be a phone script right there, right? So, yeah. And then write this down. When in doubt, if you're on the phone, when in doubt, always use the line or the script. That's exactly why we need to get together.
Okay.
So that is a great phone script. And if you're ever stuck, if somebody stumps you, pull that one out. Well, we don't want to list with an agent. Well, that's exactly why we need to get together. Right? So, and if they set the appointment, well, that means they're open to the idea. So, and then when they get there, say, look, then when you show up, say, look, people that are willing to, list properties for that lower price, the truth is, they're simply not netting you top dollar. You're leaving money on the table. It may appear that you're getting the same thing for less money. The reality is you're not getting the same thing for less money. You're getting less service for less money. So, you want to net the most amount of money possible, right? Great. Let's get together and let me show you how to do it. And then, so you can show them. So, Mr. and Mrs. So, when we're sitting there and we're listed on 90-something websites, and you have large open houses and a lot of agents trying to really hustle your listing, what happens is we actually wind up in a bidding war, and we actually net more money than if you went with one of these limited services companies. You want more money, right? Yeah, let's sign the contract. So that's how it's done. You cannot have a mathematical argument.
Right.
Right? The mathematical argument simply does not apply. And the reason why the mathematical argument does not work is because they're not equating a discount price with limited services. They believe they're getting the same exact service for less money.
Yeah.
So don't call it a discount, call it a limited service.
Yeah, I'm going to call him back with that. I'm excited.
Good. Cynthia's, I love the Cynthias of the world. Cynthia goes out and does it, and then comes back, figures out what didn't work, and then how could I improve that and learn. So Cynthia's a ready, aim, fire, and then goes down and looks at the target and says, well, I missed the bullseye. What do I need to do? Well, then what you need to do is you need to adjust your front sight a little, one click, your rear sight a click, and next thing you know, you're hitting the center of the target. That's what the Cynthias of the world do. They shoot, figure out how to get to the target later. They shoot first, because we can't adjust your sights until you shoot the target and see how far you're off.
And he's in St. George. That's the part that I'm really concerned about. How is his sibling or whoever, you know what I mean? It's not their full-time job to show their house, market the house. So
No, right.
Talk to him about.
Right. Right. So do you want someone that could actually, and does the sibling, and here's one, like if the sibling lives next door, or, I mean, it's hard in a sibling, like you have the one where you have, like in a condo or a neighbor. I was going to list with my neighbor. Ooh, and so you can do a couple things if they're going to list with the neighbor. One, you could say, here's a great thing about when you list with me. So, because your neighbor can actually still bring a buyer. So not only do we have all your neighbors' activities, plus you're going to have all my marketing. That way you're actually getting two for the price of one. I mean, that's what you want, isn't it? And they go, yeah. The other one is if they live directly next door. So, it's like, let me ask you a question, Cynthia. Have you ever met someone and you looked at them and you go, and you, for whatever reason, you kind of prejudge them and say, I don't like these people. And then, but then after a while, you've met them and they were nothing like you thought your prejudgment was. They turned out to be actually awesome people. Has that ever happened to you? And the answer is yes. And then,
Sorry, I muted. Do you want me to converse with you?
Yeah, so that's exactly the same. So this is exactly the same thing. So sometimes they'll make a decision where they may not like the person, and then the vibe that they're giving off, the buyer may not make an offer on your house because they may not like the neighbor either. So when you hire with me, I don't have a neighborly invested into it. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're just going to pre-qualify them rather than prejudge them and get you the most money. I mean, that's what you want, isn't it? And they go, yeah. So that's how you handle that. I mean, the thing is, and if they don't give it to you, they don't give it to you. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. So the goal is just handle each one as best you can. So anyway, well, that's all I got. Does anybody else have any questions? You can send me an instant message through the app. Anything else? If not, I will bode you guys farewell. And again, as always, any questions, feel free to contact me, 801-999-8209. Again, 999-8209. Thanks, guys. Make it an awesome day.
Thank you.